The news spread like wildfire. The world watched in awe and fear. A disappearing star? Impossible. Theories abounded. Black holes, alien technology. The scientific community was in an uproar. Some dismissed it as an anomaly, a glitch in the cosmic machinery. Others saw it as a paradigm shift, a challenge to everything they knew about the universe. The disappearance of Lacerta 189 was not just a scientific puzzle. It was a cultural phenomenon, a stark reminder of the vastness and mystery of the cosmos. People looked up at the night sky with a newfound sense of wonder and trepidation. Months passed. The mystery deepened. Then came a breakthrough. Dr. Monroe and his team detected a faint energy signature where Lacerta 189 once shone. It was unlike anything they had ever seen. This energy was not random. It pulsed with a strange rhythm, like a cosmic heartbeat. Could this be a clue? The energy signature was a complete enigma. It defied all known laws of physics. Some scientists speculated that it was a form of exotic matter, perhaps even a doorway to another dimension. Others whispered about advanced alien civilizations, harnessing the very fabric of space-time. Then it happened again. Another star vanished. This time it was Vega X13, a young, bright star on the opposite side of the galaxy. The same energy signature, the same sudden disappearance. The world held its breath. This was no coincidence. A pattern was emerging, a terrifying pattern. The evidence was mounting. Something out there was targeting stars. But what? And why? As Dr. Monroe delved deeper into the mystery, he stumbled upon an even more unsettling discovery. A series of faint, structured radio signals emanating from the vicinity of the vanished stars. These signals were not random. They appeared to be encoded messages. And they were getting stronger. The mystery of the disappearing stars continued to baffle scientists. Dr. Monroe and his team worked tirelessly, analyzing data and searching for clues. They discovered that the energy signatures were not just random pulses, but contained patterns that suggested intelligent design. The signals were becoming more frequent and more complex. It was as if someone, or something, was trying to communicate. The team decided to send a message back, using the same energy frequency. They waited anxiously for a response. Days turned into weeks, and just when they were about to give up, they received a reply. The message was simple, yet chilling. "We are coming." The implications were staggering. Who were these beings? What did they want? The world braced itself for the unknown, as the mystery of the disappearing stars took on a new, ominous dimension. Then, one fateful night, the sky lit up with an eerie glow. It wasn't a natural phenomenon. It was as if the heavens themselves were being torn apart. An enormous craft, unlike anything seen before, emerged from the void. It hovered silently, a monolithic presence that dwarfed the stars. Panic spread across the globe. Governments declared states of emergency while scientists scrambled to establish contact. Dr. Monroe and his team were at the forefront, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and exhilaration. They knew this was the moment that would define humanity's future. As the world watched in awe and trepidation, the craft began to transmit a series of complex symbols and sounds. Dr. Monroe recognized the patterns immediately. They were the same as the ones he had been studying. With trembling hands, he activated the communication array and began to decode the message. The voice that emerged was unlike any human voice, resonant and otherworldly. "We are the harvesters," it said. "We seek the energy of your stars to sustain our existence. Your sun is next." A cold shiver ran through Dr. Monroe. The implications were clear. Humanity had to make a choice: confront this alien force or find a way to coexist. The clock was ticking and the fate of the world hung in the balance. As the transmission ended, the craft remained, a silent sentinel in the night sky. The world held its breath, waiting for the next move. The battle for survival had begun. The world was in chaos. Governments and scientists were working around the clock to understand the alien technology. Dr. Monroe's team discovered that the energy signatures were not just for communication, but also for navigation. The harvesters were mapping the galaxy, searching for stars to harvest. The team had to find a way to stop them. They developed a plan to send a disruptive signal to confuse the harvesters' navigation systems. It was a risky move, but it was humanity's only hope. As they prepared to send the signal, the world watched in anticipation. Would it work? The fate of the planet depended on it. In an underground bunker, Dr. Monroe and his team were gathered around a complex array of computers and communication devices. The atmosphere was thick with tension. Every keystroke, every flicker of a monitor carried the weight of the world's hopes and fears. "We have to time this perfectly," Dr. Monroe said, his voice steady but his eyes betraying the gravity of the moment. "If we disrupt their navigation at the wrong time, it could backfire disastrously." The team nodded, each member fully aware of the stakes. They had synchronized their efforts with global observatories and defense networks. The countdown began. 3, 2, 1, now! Dr. Monroe's command echoed through the room. The signal was sent, a burst of energy designed to scramble the Harvester's advanced systems. For a moment, nothing happened. The world seemed to hold its breath. Then, the enormous craft in the sky began to flicker. Its once imposing presence now seemed unstable, as if it were struggling to maintain its form. "It's working!" one of the team members shouted, unable to contain their excitement. But the celebration was premature. The Harvester ship emitted a powerful counter-signal, a desperate attempt to regain control. The ground shook as the two forces clashed in a battle of frequencies. Electrical systems across the globe flickered, and the sky was awash with strange, pulsating lights. It was a spectacle of cosmic proportions. A fight for survival played out in the ether. Dr. Monroe's voice cut through the chaos. "Hold steady! We have to maintain the signal!" His hands were a blur as he adjusted settings and recalibrated the equipment. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the Harvester ship began to retreat. Its form grew fainter, the lights dimming until it was no more than a shadow against the night sky. The disruptive signal had worked. The Harvesters were forced to abandon their mission, at least for now. The world erupted in relief and jubilation. Dr. Monroe and his team slumped in their chairs, exhausted but triumphant. They had bought humanity precious time, but they knew the battle was far from over. The Harvesters would return, and when they did, humanity would have to be ready. As the first light of dawn broke, the world began to pick up the pieces. The sky was clear, but the memory of the Harvester ship lingered. It was a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the resilience of the human spirit. The final gambit had paid off, but the war for survival had only just begun. The signal was sent. For a moment there was silence. Then, the Harvester's craft began to move erratically. It worked. The navigation systems were disrupted. But the victory was short-lived. The Harvesters adapted quickly, and their craft stabilized. Dr. Monroe realized that they needed a more permanent solution. In the aftermath of the Battle of Frequencies, Dr. Monroe's team gathered once more in their underground bunker, now a hub of urgent activity. The room was filled with the hum of computers, the rustle of papers, and the low murmur of intense discussions. The atmosphere was charged with a mix of relief and renewed determination. "We need to find the source of their power," Dr. Monroe declared, his eyes alight with a fierce resolve. "The Harvesters are using a form of dark energy, something that has only been theoretical until now. If we can harness it, we might stand a chance." The team plunged into research, scouring every available resource for clues. Weeks turned into months as they worked tirelessly, driven by the ticking clock of an impending return of the Harvesters. The weight of the world's future rested heavily on their shoulders. At last, a breakthrough. One of the scientists, Dr. Patel, discovered a pattern in the energy signatures. "This dark energy isn't just random," she explained excitedly. "It's structured, almost like a code. If we can decode it, we might be able to turn it against them." The team worked around the clock, decoding the complex patterns of the dark energy. It was a race against time, a battle of wits against an unseen enemy. Every discovery brought them one step closer to a potential solution, but also highlighted the enormity of the task ahead. Finally, they devised a prototype device capable of harnessing and redirecting dark energy. The machine was a marvel of ingenuity, a testament to human creativity and resilience, but it was untested, and there was no room for error. "This is our last chance," Dr. Monroe said, looking at each member of his team. "If this works, we might just have a fighting chance. If it fails..." He let the sentence hang, the unspoken consequences clear to everyone. The world watched once more as the team prepared to activate the device. The tension was palpable, the stakes higher than ever. With a deep breath, Dr. Monroe gave the signal. The machine roared to life, drawing in dark energy and sending it out in a controlled burst. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the sky began to shimmer with a strange, otherworldly light. The harvester's craft, now visible again, reacted violently, its form distorting as it struggled against the new force. "It's working!" Dr. Patel shouted, her voice filled with hope and relief. The harvester's ship began to disintegrate, unable to withstand the redirected dark energy. Piece by piece it fell apart, a testament to the power of human ingenuity and determination. As the last remnants of the harvester ship vanished, the world erupted in celebration. Dr. Monroe and his team embraced, their exhaustion forgotten in the euphoria of victory. They had done it. They had found a way to fight back. But even in their moment of triumph, they knew this was just the beginning. The harvesters would return and they would need to be ready. The battle for survival was far from over, but now humanity had a fighting chance. As the first light of dawn broke, casting a new day in a hopeful glow, the world began to rebuild, fortified by the knowledge that they could stand against the darkness. The journey ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity would not go quietly into the night. The dark energy enigma had been solved, but the war for survival had only just begun. The victory against the harvesters was monumental, but it was only a temporary reprieve. Dr. Monroe and his team knew that the battle for survival was far from over. As the world celebrated, the team retreated to their underground bunker, their minds already racing with the next steps. The harvester's craft had been immobilized, but the threat was still looming. "We need to be prepared for their return," Dr. Monroe said, his voice filled with a quiet determination. "We bought ourselves some time, but they will come back, and we need to be ready." The team immediately began refining their device, improving its efficiency, and expanding its capabilities. They also started working on new strategies and defenses, knowing that the next encounter would be even more challenging. Outside, the world began to rebuild. The ruins of cities were cleared, and new structures rose from the ashes. People worked together, fortified by the knowledge that they had the means to fight back. There was a renewed sense of unity and purpose, a collective resolve to stand against the impending darkness. In the meantime, Dr. Monroe and his team continued their research. They delved deeper into the mysteries of dark energy, seeking to understand its full potential. Every discovery brought new insights and new questions, but they pressed on, driven by the urgency of their mission. One evening, as the team worked late into the night, Dr. Patel made a startling discovery. "Look at this!" she said, her voice trembling with excitement. "The dark energy signatures are changing. It's as if they're adapting to our interference." The room fell silent as the implications of her words sank in. The harvesters were learning, evolving. The next encounter would be even more dangerous. "We need to accelerate our efforts," Dr. Monroe said, his expression grim. "We can't afford to be caught off guard. The next battle will be unlike anything we've faced before." The team redoubled their efforts, working day and night to stay ahead of the evolving threat. They knew that the fate of humanity rested on their shoulders, and they were determined not to let it down. As the first light of dawn broke, casting a hopeful glow on the horizon, the world stood vigilant. The harvesters would return, but humanity would be ready. The battle for survival was far from over, but now there was hope. Dr. Monroe looked out at the rising sun, a symbol of a new beginning. "We won't go quietly into the night," he whispered, a fierce resolve in his eyes. "We'll be ready." The journey ahead was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity would fight, and it would endure. The vigil had begun, and the world was prepared to face the darkness once more.